And our properties are a business, right? Your rental property is an absolute business.
How do you avoid having this business relationship turn into a friendship?
We have got to keep this relationship and these boundaries the way they are.
You're not doing a David Pickron rental pool fantasy football team? Oh,
I don't think I've ever had.
Come on.
For landlords, by landlords. The Rent Perfect Podcast with David Pickron.
Scotty, good afternoon. Is it afternoon yet?
It's still morning.
Still morning. Boy, this day's going by quick. Hey, David Pickron and Scot with you with the Rent Perfect Podcast. It's great to be with you. It really is. And we sure like you to subscribe and like this this episode. Hopefully we are going to talk about some things, maybe for some new landlords, maybe for some seasoned landlords.
What I find is there's always a nugget somewhere for everybody when we get talking.
There is something here today. I want to talk about boundaries. Okay, so I want to get to setting boundaries for the long-term hold landlord to make sure that they're not getting taken advantage of. So that's where we're going. So let's see how we get there, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
A lot of times when I'm around at different RIAs around the country, I do this exercise and I say, hey, everybody just kind of put your head down, take a minute here, close your eyes, and just start thinking and naming in your mind the addresses of your rentals, okay? So I'd close my eyes and I would say 7220 East Kessler, and I would think about who's in there. And then I would just be in tune with my gut and say, is that a good situation? Is it maybe in the middle, or is something going to happen there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will tell you, the more rentals you have and the longer you're in this game, I don't want to make it seem like you should never have a problem. I mean, the reality is as I look at one address, and I always have to be careful in case my what we call business partners or tenants listening, that I don't want to be, talking about them. But I've got one right now where when I think of the address in my mind, my gut just turns. And it's not because they're bad people, they're not paying rent. It's because one of my tenants is 86 years old, and I went over there the other day, and she's like, I just don't like what is said about me through the vents of this condo.
Oh boy.
People upstairs are talking about me, and I'm just like starting to realize. And in this situation, her kids have kind of abandoned her. She just doesn't have a lot of people. And now I'm like the only point of contact. I have a couple rentals in one condo, and one of my tenants called me and said, hey, someone's looking for and they said her name, and they doesn't live here. Do you know who that is? I'm like, actually, they have the wrong unit. She lives a couple doors down. So I call the Mace PD, and I'm like, hey, are you looking for her? And like, well, we just got to do some wellness checks. And so she's just getting to the point where, I mean, at 86, you live by yourself, right?
Yeah.
So that is one where I do this exercise. I just kind of know, like, something's coming that I don't know if I really want to deal with. So.
Right.
But it could also be, they're not paying rent on time. They're damaging my home. Their kids are causing, problems around the neighborhood. I mean, there's all kinds of things that could be like, oh, this isn't going the way I want it. Right.
Can I backtrack for just a second? So when you're talking about boundaries, when do you begin establishing or laying down those boundaries? Because it sounds like with this older individual, you probably had boundaries to begin with, and maybe you've moved the marker a little bit just because of the situation. But so with a new tenant coming in, when do you start to establish the boundaries?
Well, it is when you show the property. It's on your first date, what I call it. It's when they see the property.
Okay.
They need to know you have a professional system and that you know what you're doing. See, Rent Perfect helps you do that. As you send out an invite and you send out, you have a system behind you that lets them know I'm a professional. Like you're not gonna pull wool over my eyes. Right? I do this for a living.
Yeah.
I'm smart. And so if you have a system and you ask the right questions, and you don't come off as just this mom and pop who just inherited a property, don't know what they're doing, and you can totally take advantage of them. So it really starts from the very very, very beginning, right? And so here's what I want to kind of go to. I want people to think about if you were to start a business, okay, with somebody, all right? Let's make it pretty simple. You're going to start an ice cream shop, okay? Who would you pick as your partner?
I would pick someone who knows something about an ice cream shop or running a retail,
Okay,
or food and beverage.
right.
Not
So
just
would you put an ad out on Craigslist and saying looking for a partner to run an ice cream shop with?
no.
Okay, so where would you find your pool of partners?
I'd probably go to my network of people I know, and then I'd probably, if I couldn't identify somebody there, go to a professional network somewhere that might connect me in with, whether that's an online platform or whatever. But
Right. And if you were to create a partnership on this ice cream shop and you found someone you trust, so it's whether someone in your family, someone close to you, someone's like, I can do business with that person, however you find them, and usually you pick someone you really like and trust.
Yeah.
The problem with picking someone who you like and trust is sometimes at my age, you just say, hey, I trust you. Let's handshake the deal.
Right.
We'll work out the problems later.
Yeah.
Right? We can't run our properties like that. And our properties are a business, right? Your rental property is an absolute business. And you're going to hand someone over a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 asset, right? And yet, so you're going into business with them. And yet, if you really have to look at them, and I hope you don't live your life like this, but I don't trust anybody that I don't know yet. Now, you have to kind of earn my trust.
Right.
I like you until I don't like you, right? But I still don't fully trust you.
Correct. Yeah.
And here we put out an ad on Zillow or on Facebook or still some people on Craigslist, and they're going to hand out a huge asset. And if they don't set their boundaries or cross your T's and dot your I's, that's when people get in a whole lot of trouble, right?
Yeah. So there's no handshake agreements in this kind of a relationship. Hey, I'll pay you $2,500 a month. You provide me a house, and yeah, no problems, right? Yeah.
So as I'm going through and I'm showing the property, I always have a copy of my criteria on me. Okay.
Which is a boundary,
Which is
or
kind of like
yeah.
a preliminary look at what the lease is going to look like.
Yep.
It's like a preview, right?
Yeah.
And if you can't live by my criteria, then let's not continue this partnership, moving into a partnership relationship. Let's just cut that
Sever.
out now,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So if you don't know what or don't have a detailed criteria, you can email us at info@rentperfect.com, and we'll email you out a detailed criteria, one that we share. Every criteria is different on every property, but it sets the boundaries. So we know it is. I mean, the simple ones are no smoking, no pets. But back in the day, I showed a property many times and forgot to say, this is a no smoking property. And when I went to go sign the lease, the guy comes out of his truck with a cigarette in his mouth, and I'm like, oh,
yeah.
shoot, we've got all the way down the road, and I didn't set the boundaries early.
Right.
I just kind of handshaked, and I thought, oh, it's a nice guy, and I really didn't think about all the things I wanted to do. So,
Do you indicate occupancy limits?
and that is per state.
Okay.
So, in Arizona, it's called a 2+1. So they say 2 people per room, +1 is what they kind of generally set as what's fair and not fair. Some states you pick it, and other states have guidelines. So, stick with those guidelines if you do. We used to be, 2 people a room all the time. If you had a 3-bedroom, you couldn't have more than 6 live there. Now with Arizona law, you can have 7 people live there because it's 2 per room plus 1. If there's a guy sleeps on the couch or in the den or whatever.
Gotcha.
So that's just kind of how we're set up. But so your criteria does cover stuff like that, right? What's your income to rent ratio, right? What's your credit look like? Do you have a criminal history? Do you have evictions? And so all of that is in this detailed criteria that starts setting boundaries right away, which makes you look like you know what you're doing.
Right. Yeah.
And that you're a professional. And if you give that to them before they give you an application fee or a deposit, you're going to save yourself a lot of time. Like I said, it's almost like previewing your lease in a 1 or 2 page paper to say, here's kind of what's coming down. Here's what I expect.
Yeah.
So it's our operating agreement in our LLC or S corp. I mean, that's kind of how it acts in a business. relationship. So, um, I love to be upfront with people, even if it's a tough conversation. I think a lot of people don't like my wife she would not be very good at a tough conversation or kind of being upfront with someone, right? I'll show a property to someone and they get out of the truck and the cigarette smoke is just and I'm like, you know, I'm hey, just so you know, there's no smoking in the house or anywhere on
The
the
prop.
property. So and I can tell that you smoke, and I just want to make sure that you know the rules. And
Yeah.
and then I've turned many people away doing that. My wife, on the other hand, they'd get out and she would be in her mind just going, how do I get through this? I mean, I can't tell him. And I mean, she really would have a hard time.
Yeah.
I think in our situation, when we're handing over, like I said, a $200,000, $300,000 home, we need to be able to be upfront and have those tough conversations. And it's going to save us tough problems.
Yeah.
Now let's take that small, tough conversation right now to kill a
Yeah.
major problem
An expensive problem,
and very expensive
oftentimes. So
problem. So, the reality is that when people look at this is, it's a business. This is a business. And you are going to have a business partner, aka a tenant.
mhm.
You're going to be tied to them. If they get a divorce, it could affect you. If they get cancer, it could affect you. If they lose their job, it could
Yeah.
affect you, right?
Yeah. Well, how do you avoid, because it is an intimate relationship at times. How do you avoid having this business relationship turn into a friendship?
That's a great question. So I have a rental not too far from where I live. And so this couple moves in, kind of our style, right?
Yeah.
And Steph says to me, "Hey, we want to go to dinner, on Saturday night with these
Yeah.
people." And I said, "Babe, I'm sorry, we're not doing that." She's like, "What are you talking about? They invited us to dinner." And I'm like, we have got to keep this relationship and these boundaries the way they are, right?
Mhm.
We can't be best friends with our tenants. Now, I've said it before, 30 managers in a room, they'll manage 30 different ways. So if you want to go be friends with your tenants and that works for you, great. But here's what I find. Times gets tough and they come to you for something, it's a lot harder
Mhm.
to stay in that business relationship, you know? Like the reality is and we set boundaries and I have people that come to me and say, "Hey Dave, I don't know if I'm be able to make rent this next month." And they almost like throw it on my shoulders.
Yeah.
I say, "Well, you need to go to your family. Do you belong to a church? Have you checked with the city for any kind of help from the
Mhm.
city?" But I pretty much say, "I'm so sorry. I'm compassionate, but I'm not I got my own problems.
Yeah.
I got my own payments, and my kids take all my money already. So,
Right.
if I'm going to give money to anybody, it's going to be them
Right.
and not the managers." And I don't mean to be, you know, sound terrible about that.
Right.
The reality is I've set my boundaries. This is a business. I'm sorry. It's not
Yeah.
going to cross over into my personal life.
So it's okay to be friendly, just don't become,
Oh,
friends, or that kind of a friendship anyway.
I am super friendly with everybody.
Yeah.
I have a great relationship with my business partners out there. I ask them personal questions about their life as we talk maybe 2, 3 times a year. See, when you rent from me, I'm not bugging you a
Yeah.
lot, right? So my style is I give you a home. I drive by it for the first month or two just to make sure everything's being agreed on. You're taking care of the landscaping. And as soon as I feel like, oh, they got this, I hardly talk to you anymore. Rent's all paid online, right?
Yeah.
And I get an occasional, my air conditioning doesn't work or I have a leak or the hot water heater. But other than that, we're not really socializing
Yeah.
a whole lot, and that's the way that I like it
Okay.
right there.
What about if the market takes a dip, right? And all of a sudden they can go to another property for maybe a little bit less money. What kind of things might you do to entice someone to stay in, with staying within your boundaries, right, of doing things, but keep them, in that relationship?
Right. So now the decision to change something comes from the business side of it. It
Okay.
doesn't come from, oh, I feel sorry for them side of
Right.
it, right?
Okay.
So the reality is if I say times were getting tough and I wanted to lower their rent by $200 a month, it's $2,400 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I lost them, to do a turn would be maybe new carpet, new, paint.
Yeah.
Who knows what
Right.
goes with the turn, but it'd also be 1 month of rent lost, which would be
$2,400. Yeah.
there anyways. And so I would logically work it all out, but it wouldn't be, I'm just, being a nice guy. Now, I want to be a nice guy, but I also, have these investments. And like I just keep going back, don't need to keep repeating myself. This is my strategy. This is my business. And this is how we move forward. Now, the reality is you could always, I mean, I'm going out on a limb here, but you have to treat everybody the same in this business, right? And so why did you lower their rent and you didn't lower their rent? Why did you, I mean, there's all, so I usually, when I have to have a tough conversation, I usually couch it like this. Listen, by law, I have to treat everybody the same. So I don't allow that anywhere else, and I can't allow it here or I break the law.
Right.
Or I can't do this here because I'm not doing it everywhere.
Yeah.
And I almost just kind of blame having to treat everybody the same. So if I have it treat everybody the same, I have the criteria, I have this on autopilot, I just stick to my business rules
Yeah.
and exactly how, Now, some people listening might say, hey, come on, things change at one property. One property, lady loses her husband and these guys are just trucking along. And I get, yes, there's a little bit of
You may make accommodations
But-
depending, but yeah.
But I'm on a podcast
Yeah.
right now, and your strategy should be,
Right.
we are consistent, we stick to our business rules, and we move forward.
Yeah.
And then what you want to do in your personal life is got to be outside the business.
Yeah.
But don't get out in that personal world very often. It gets you in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great counsel.
Yeah, and then one more other thing is, I think you limit your communication with your business partners to an as needed basis. We've seen it in the past where people have talked so much they've got themselves in some fair housing problems with some phone calls coming into here that we hear about. We're like, why would you say that? You just get everybody satisfied and just let the investment go make you money and move on with your life. And so I'm not super chatty with
You're not doing fantasy football. You're not doing a
no.
David Pickron rental pool fantasy football team. Oh,
I don't
come
think
on.
I've ever had
Come
one
on.
business partner call me and say, "How was your day today?" I just
Yeah.
um,
Keep business and
Yeah.
personal and
absolutely, and then just be upfront, be clear, have a good criteria, set your boundaries, and get tough when you need to get tough. Be nice when you need to be nice, but don't let them run over you. And here's one more thing I'm going to talk about. There's always, you never know what's going to happen in the future. So here's how an eviction happens often, and we all buy into this. Hey, I'm just a little bit short of my rent. A lot of states you can't take partials or you waive your whole right to evict for the month.
right.
If I can just get a couple more days, I've got so and so and so and so. And I've bought into this too. I'm not saying that, that I'm perfect at this. But you say, okay, I'll give you a couple days to come up with your rent. And then 2 days go by. 3. Okay, so maybe you get your rent now on the 5th. But in 25 more days now, rent's due again. Right? And their 2 paychecks are not catching up with. And soon it's like, okay, I asked him once for an extension. Why wouldn't I ask him again?
Yeah.
And soon you get into this extension and you start thinking in your head, I don't want to turn. I don't want to, okay, I'll just give him an extra couple. Okay, maybe he will win the lottery. I mean, people have this mindset of life is always going to get better down the road. So let me spend what I think.
Right. I've got a good deal coming in, man. It's supposed to close this month. And if it does.
I hear these furniture commercials, but get your furniture today, pay in 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, life often doesn't get better in 2 years for people. Right. So, anyway, so just put the red flag on. If you start getting asked for a delay, you might say something like, I'm going to give it to you this one time, but not again. And I just want to be very, very clear. And then guess what? You have to stick to that. The next month comes and it's like, hey, I need a few more days. I'm sorry. I've got to give you a notice and we've got to start the process. So, and that might spur them to get caught up going to family, friends, church or whatever. But if you're the one that keeps giving and giving, if you gave this month, you're going to give next month. And you don't want to set that precedent. You want to set those boundaries. But I have given a couple day leeway, but then I know, okay, now we're living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Now I've got a problem. So now if I were to do that exercise and I would call out that address, I'd go, oh,
Mm-hmm.
something's coming.
Yeah. It's my experience that if I'm going to be the bad guy, I can defer it a month or 2 months. I might as well just be the bad guy in month 1 and get it out of the way, right? Because I'm going to be the bad guy in month 2 or 3. Now I've given them a little bit of rope,
Right.
and now they're going to hang themselves with it because that's just the reality. Is like you're going to have to be the tough guy at some point in that relationship. It might as well be early.
Right. Well, Scotty, I appreciate it. Thanks for doing this podcast with me. Sometimes it's not easy being in these situations, but this is the greatest business to be in, and sometimes it's awesome, and sometimes it's tough, and sometimes that gut says, I got a problem, and sometimes it says, oh, I love this, and we're on autopilot. Yep. So those are the emotions that come with business partners, being tenants, and really owning a business.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, we hope to hear from you in the comment section. Let us know what you think, maybe an experience that you had. If there's anything you can add, we don't sit here and act like we know everything. We've learned everything from somewhere, and a lot of it have been from clients and people and calls, and certainly grateful for all of that feedback that has been given to us over the years. And until next time, continue to rent perfect.